We've been thinking a bit in previous videos and obviously in the book about modalities. Modalities are ways that we communicate with a device or a service. Right now I'm staring into a camera. I've got a mouse which I can move around. I could type some text on a keyboard. I could go to a toolbar and talk to my search engine. These are all modalities, different ways for me to express my wishes to the computer system. Similarly, the computer can, at the moment, you obviously can't see it, but I've got windows, visual displays. It can make some beeping noises. It can talk back at me. Those are all ways that the computer can express its state and its needs to me, the user. We talk, of course, about multimodality, where you put different elements together. You know, when we talk to each other, if we're doing it well, then we use different forms of communication. So I'm looking at you now, and I'm imagining you watching me, and I'm going to gesture at you, I'm talking to you. You can see my facial expression. These are all modes that I can, if I'm a little bit human and empathetic, effectively communicate to you, and then pick up. If I could see you, whether or not you're interested in what I'm saying, whether I'm going too fast or too slow for you, and then adapt and negotiate with you so we communicate better. Now, some experiences that we have are where there are different senses involved work really well. So imagine a lovely meal that's been crafted by a chef. You'll get it on a carefully chosen plate if it's a good restaurant. You'll have a fork and a knife maybe, which have been thought through in terms of their weight, how they feel in your hands. And as you cut the food, if it's been cooked well, the chef will have thought about the textures that you can sense. And then the smell is released as you bring the food to your mouth, and then into your mouth the taste that explodes. Good meal has a flow to it, a mix of the sensations that communicate something from the chef to you through your visual sense, through your touch as you cut, through your sense of smell and your sense of taste, of course. Or think about, what I do often in the mornings, cycle. So I'm cycling in, I've got my visual display, my eyes looking out onto the road. I can hear the click and the clack of the gears as I change from a low gear to a higher gear. I can feel the bumps of the surface of the road, and I can feel the air and the wind coming across the bay, pushing into my skin. I also get feedback from my muscles and my joints as they work in tandem with the bike. Again, there's a flow to it. Now, often when we build computer systems or mobile devices and services, I'm afraid we don't think about how the different ways of communicating to the machine and for the machine to communicate back to us can be choreographed in that elegant flow way. In contrast, often it seems like not to put a finer point on it, a dog's dinner when we use some services which have lots of modalities. So let me give you an example. A group of us were driving up to Cambridge in the UK just a week ago to attend a hackathon. I'll put the link to that hackathon in the video in a moment, so you can go and look at that. And we had a hire car. It was it was a brand new car and a quite expensive car, and it had a crazy multimodal interface to the entertainment, navigation, media system. So on the dashboard, it had a large screen right in front of me, the driver, and that screen had some buttons around it so I could have fast access to some features. That was okay. I could also touch the screen to browse various elements of the content. that wasn't enough, I could put my hand down near the shift stick and I could touch a touchpad, a bit like the touchpad you have on a laptop. The touchpad controlled a cursor on the screen. While it was controlling this cursor on the screen, the touchpad was giving me vibration haptic feedback to tell me when I was touching hotspots on the screen. And I could speak to it. And I could give some commands in speech, I could do some on the haptic touchpad, and I can do more on the visual display. What seems to have happened is that the designers of that system, or developers, just decided to pack it full of all the possible features they could think of. And the experience was one of confusion and chaos, because by trying to do many things, they failed to do anything which was well executed. So the speech system, well, it was very amusing, and perhaps I'll post a video of me trying to access it another day. It did very little. The haptic display was disruptive. It was very difficult to combine what I was feeling on the touchpad while driving with my hand like this and looking at the dashboard screen. When you build your mobile service, when you build a mobile service like the one in the car, don't pack it full of every single possible way of the user expressing their input and the machine giving an output. Think about the best forms of input and output for the main contexts of use for that device and system. Should we just build in speech systems because we can and we think they're useful when we need to have our hands free? Well, no, not if they're going to lead to frustration and confusion. Because instead of giving me a sense of control in the car, I was wondering, well, the thing, I can't change the radio by talking to it, so I'm going to have to poke around or look down here because there's a touchpad. Think carefully. Think about choreographing the user's ability to express their commands and the machine's ability to communicate back. Avoid just throwing in everything and hoping for the best.